Hello everybody and welcome to my monthly update for February 2020. It's great to have you here, thank you for coming along. So, before we get stuck into anything, I am delighted and excited to announce the return of everyone's favourite section of these monthly updates. You got it, it's Hater of the Month. So for those of you that are new here, Hater of the Month is basically me shouting out my favourite piece of hate that I've received this month so we can all laugh at it and perhaps even go back and start getting involved with it. It's always a bit of a laugh because at the end of the day, when you put stuff out online, you always receive hate. And I find it is far easier to just laugh at them in their faces rather than take it to heart. And I can usually make it turn 180 degrees and inflict back on them afterwards. Unfortunately, this month's one wasn't quite as responsive as I would have liked, but it was from John Taylor, and he said, "I definitely hate you and everything about you. I'm aware that this is my problem, not yours, but I had to let it out. Thank you for your time." And let's be fair, we can't mock John's self-awareness here. He seems to have that on point. And to be fair, he did thank me for my time as well, so I didn't want to be too brash with my response, and I just said, could have at least waited till Valentine's Day, John, with a little broken heart emoji. He didn't respond, so my heart never quite repaired. But it was funny seeing this comment because that video on how to use a chisel correctly has, for some reason, received so much love recently. Like, the comments on it are just flooding in and YouTube seems to be recommending it to people, which is great. And, you know, I was reading through them like, oh, this is so... Oh, hello, John. Oh, okay then, cheers, and scroll past it. But I did very much enjoy that one. Right, so a slight change of the camera angle there, and we're gonna pan back in a second to reveal what is on the bench. Originally, when I was writing down everything that I wanted to talk about on this monthly update, I was actually like, I swear not a lot has happened this month. But once I started writing things down, a lot seems to be happening this month. Most notably, the second project of the free online school has started or will be starting. I'm currently this far in the build and I've edited 5 videos of it so far that are due to be released in the next few days. And in addition to this, I've got a very exciting announcement related to the online school that I'm going to share with you at the end of this video. And it's going to really benefit those of you who want to get stuck in with the project but are struggling to source the material and size and machine the material as well. It's going to be amazing. So for those of you that are unaware, in the second project of the free online school, we're going to be making an arts and crafts style cabinet. So this is how far I've got. These stretchers have been dovetailed into the sides, which have been edge jointed together. And within here, we've also got 2 grooves cut out for a shelf that I'm actually going to be filming later today. And this is going to slot in from behind. Below that shelf, there'll be a traditionally fitted drawer, and above it, we'll have a traditional frame and panel door, obviously hinged with butt hinges as well. And what's different about this project compared to the box project is that I'm going to be splitting off certain segments in it to do some of it by hand and some of it by machine. So for example, this groove here was machined using a router and a jig that I made specifically for this job. And this side was cut out entirely by hand. I didn't even drill out the waste in the end. I considered it, but no, we just used chisels, we used saws, and we used marking gauges, and all these various little tools to chip out the waste, and it's given us a really nice clean result. And I do apologise for how long it's taken for me to actually get started on this project since the dovetail box one. I was waiting for various things, and I promise you that that wait was worth it. I wanted to get a 4K camera before filming this, I wanted to sort out the lighting situation, and I just wanted the general set to look presentable, and it looks amazing, and everything is just so much clearer now and is much better than it would have been if I'd started this even a month ago. So I'm very happy with how the videos are currently turning out. And speaking of the situation under the mezzanine floor, let's go up, shall we? So in terms of the mezzanine floor, this is what it's currently looking like. That's the ladder where you come up from behind my set. We've obviously got the desk in the middle here, which was the one that I must have been the second project I ever made on YouTube. Obviously it's meant to go against the wall, which is why we got these cutouts on the back for cables, but it is working beautifully for our live stream and soon to be podcast area as well. And this is the new addition to the workshop. I was bragging about this on one of my live streams. So it turns out a few months ago I bought a single pot of ground coffee, and in doing so I scanned my Nectar card when purchasing it, which is 2 things that I never normally do. I very rarely buy ground coffee because I don't get through it very quickly, and half the time I can't be bothered to scan my Nectar card when I go into Sainsbury's. But on this particular occasion, the two planets aligned and I happened to buy a pot of coffee and I scanned my Nectar card. And in doing so, I was entered into a competition which I had no idea about. And I got a call a few months later saying, I've won a Lavazza coffee machine. Result. We literally received delivery of it the other week and I seriously thought it was a scam until I got it. And here we are. Result, eh? Like, who knows? Maybe I could get Lavazza to sponsor these videos. Just spin my Nescafe around. But then moving on, I've obviously bought the bass guitar and my bass amp from home into the workshop, which is amazing because finally I can actually crank it up to a pretty respectable volume, which is something I haven't been able to do since the last gig I played because, you know, neighbours and all that. But yeah, it's really cool because like between filming and when I'm waiting for batteries to charge and all that, I can just come up here and have a quick jam. I'm still rubbish at playing it. I'm really struggling to play a 6-string bass. So then moving around here, we've obviously got the blackboard and with a little to-do list, we've Osmoed that. Need to make some shelves and buy some fabric, and that is for the rock wall panels here, and also these panels that we've got here. We want to stick them to kind of like the rest of the walls around the mezzanine floor. But we are being so indecisive about what fabric to cover these panels with. Like, do we want it to be plain? Do we want it to be dark? Do we want it to be a grey or patterned? What texture do we want on it? I've got absolutely no idea what would look good on these. One thing that I do know we want to do is, after covering the front in fabric, I want to attach shelves going across it so that we can store, you know, like little decorative bits on there. So when Rob sits on this side of the desk and I sit on that side, we've got like our own props, I suppose, either side, and just makes it a little bit more homely. Then in the middle, I am considering, I say considering because Rob's trying to make me buy one and I'm very reluctant to do so, but he has got a point. We're thinking about getting a TV there or a monitor of some kind so we can display things from our laptops on the live streams onto the TV. And we could also link that to things like cameras, and if I had a tablet or something and I wanted to quickly draw something, it would be really beneficial to just have a screen there to display everything on. But all of that is kind of on hold at the moment because we're being so indecisive about this fabric. If any of you are like interior designers or just have a good eye for colours and colour matching and spaces in general, please let us know what you'd recommend for those fabric covers in the comments section below. I just want to have other people's inputs other than mine and Rob's indecisive opinions on the matter. And obviously we got the balustrade fitted as well. And while we're down here, these blueprints that I made as like decorative prints that you can buy from my store, I've started making some frames so that I can frame them up there as well, which will most likely go on the wall behind Rob. So yeah, I've just made a solid U, just some offcuts I had, and then I put some splines in the corners as well. Still needs a bit of sanding and cleaning up, but I like the contrast between the orangey U and the blue of the blueprint. Blue and orange, opposite sides of the colour wheel, complementary colours and all that. Should look pretty damn nice. And speaking of products on my website, the OSB Army is getting more and more recruits as time goes on. Thank you to those of you who are purchasing your uniform and also for tagging me on Instagram. I'm loving seeing some of the photos that are coming up on there. My favourite one in particular was this guy sunbathing on a beach wearing an OSB sweatshirt. Brilliant. Now, the other thing that I've started doing this month is blogging, and I can't say how frequent or infrequent it's going to be, but writing has never really been my strong point. I've always struggled to structure sentences and get my words sounding correct or reading correctly on paper. You know, I struggle enough when I speak, but I've started doing that just as a way to get more content out there that doesn't necessarily translate well for videos, but I feel would be beneficial or interesting to you guys. The one that's received the most amount of feedback and praise so far, which was like really, really heartwarming, was how did I afford all of my tools? Because it's such a common question, especially from new viewers, because they haven't necessarily seen the progression of this channel from the start. They've just sort of appeared and boom, it's a 24-year-old guy with all of this equipment in his workshop. How the hell's he done that? I didn't think that that would work too well for a video. I didn't trust myself to get my words out correctly, and it was just easier to try and write it up. And also it serves as an easy resource. So if that question gets asked again, I can just refer people to that blog post and boom, sorted. So if you're interested in that, there is a link to it in the description below. And I'm absolutely loving writing them at the moment because it's given me something to do on the train journey between home and Rycotewood where I teach. So I've just recently posted another one about my qualifications and achievements, kind of like an online CV sort of thing. People are sometimes interested in where I trained, and they're asking things like, how can I have 5 years experience studying at Rycotewood while also having 5 years experience working at Axminster Tools and Machinery, yet only woodworking for 7 or 8 years? So it answers things like that. They're fun topics to write about, and in the case of how did I afford all of my tools, it allowed me to like resurface some old photos from like my Instagram and stuff from when the workshop, you know, from when I first got my workshop and there was nothing in there about 2.5 years ago. It was a sad sight, and just a huge sense of nostalgia just came like flooding over me upon seeing those photos. But like I say, the response was amazing to it. And of course, thank you to all of you who commented such kind things. It was so nice. Now, just a quick update on the situation with the next batch of knives. As many of you are aware, I'm getting the metal components of the knives subcontracted out now so that I'm not spending 10 hours a day slaving over the lathe and then the milling machine and then drilling and tapping them all by hand. You know, it was great fun doing it, and I will be doing batches in the future that are made entirely by hand. But for now, while I'm trying to film these online school videos and while I'm trying to grow what I'm doing in other avenues, I can't be spending my time slaving over those machines because I'm only getting 2.5 days in the workshop as it is, and I kind of need to dedicate that to filming. But the first batch that they sent me has come out amazing, but there are a few amendments that I want to make before making them available to buy from my website. The main change I want to make is the slot has come out just a tad too tight. You can get the blade in and out by sort of pushing it against the surface, and you need to get the blade out using pliers, which I'm not too bummed out about, but I would much rather it just be a sort of press and pull fit. And this is most likely down to their much finer tolerances that they had when machining these out. You know, I was using a cheap Chinese slitting saw on my milling machine that obviously had some kind of wobble, so it made the slot just a tad wider, thus making the blade easier to fit. But with this, I think I specified that I wanted the slot to be 0.65 millimeters wide, and they hit that bang on, which is great. It was an amazing fit. But then when I drilled and tapped it and there was like little bits of breakout in the slot, it just tightened it to the point where it wasn't going to work. The other thing that I wanted to change was that sort of like ring where the ferrule meets the blade holder. That was caused by them deburring the components before giving them to me, which felt amazing, but it's obviously given a little shadow line around the holder there. I don't mind the look of it, but on the batch that I did, because the components weren't deburred, I managed to get pretty much a seamless fit between the two components, and I quite like the look of that. But this snakewood one was one of the ones in the batch that actually came out pretty good. Like 20% of them came out all right. And we actually had Vic Teslin, also known as the Minimalist Woodworker, also formerly known as the, I'd say, the main representative and demonstrator for Veritas Tools in Canada. But he doesn't solely represent Veritas anymore. He's more of like a freelance demonstrator now, which is awesome. And we had him visit Rycotewood the other day to do a demonstration for the students, and he kept them interested all day, which is much more than I ever managed to achieve. But in doing so, he tried out one of my knives there and absolutely loved it. So I'm going to be sending this snakewood one out to him. But those of you who are signed up to my mailing list with marking knife updates, I will update you on this second batch to let you know if it's been a success or not, and give you a sort of lead time as to when they will be available. So if you're not signed up to that list, but you're interested in buying a knife, you can sign up to it below. Now, this is quite possibly one of the best things I have ever been the recipient of. I'm hesitant to say on this channel, I think it might be in my life. The other day, I got a message from James Howard on Instagram, otherwise known as #woodworking, saying that he had a special gift for me, which made my ears prick up and made me somewhat worried as well. And just to give a bit of context on this, James by this point is pretty much like a general of the OSB army. He made my power tool workbench out of reclaimed wood and OSB, and it looks incredible. And he also used a bright orange Velcromat top as opposed to my boring grey. It looks stunning, and there'll be a link to his Instagram profile in the description. But before you go there, have a look at what he sent me. It's an OSB mallet with inlays of Velcromat, which I initially thought was Paduke, and then I looked at it closer and read the document that he sent with it, and it turns out that there's Velcromat inlay in there. There's a beach surface in the middle, which is obviously perfect for a mallet, but my favourite part, which I didn't notice for the first 3 minutes upon opening this, look at the end of this. He has fully gone and mummified a Belvita in the end of the mallet. I have no idea how I missed it to start with, but like, it's incredible. He said the first one he did, he left it in there and it ended up floating to the top, casting itself in the epoxy. But like, look at this thing. It's amazing. And just knowing that I've got offcuts from another power tool workbench here is awesome as well. But like, yeah, and like, apart from anything, I love the shaping on the handle down here. You know, on a serious note, that is a nice detail. But seriously, this has got a lot of weight to it, and I mean, I can't wait to use it. And this gift is so timely because we're not doing a whole lot with Belvita after they so rudely refused us sponsorship via Twitter. I know for a fact that in 2019, we did more promotion for them than they did themselves. And of course, we're not bitter about that at all, but this is a really cool reminder about that stage of the channel, and I am going to treasure it for life. Thank you, James. And in terms of the other work that James is doing, if you have a look at his Instagram profile, #woodworking, you'll see that he's recently started something called the Makers Auction, which is an incredible idea for a charitable cause. His basic idea of it is to get pieces donated from various makers and then auction them off and give all the proceeds to charity. He's looking to get a stand at Makers Central this year and in subsequent years as well. And like, so far, he's got a lot of makers that are prepared to do it, including myself. I really want to make one of these traveling toolboxes. Can you see it? I think you can. I'm hopefully going to be donating one of those to the auction. So if you have anything that you're making and you want to donate to a charitable cause, then have a look at that. Again, there'll be links to James's Instagram profile and the Makers Auction Instagram profile in the description below. It's all for an amazing cause. Now, I said at the start of this video, I had some exciting news regarding the free online woodworking school. Now, a comment that came up very often was, cool, I really want to get involved with this project, but I cannot find the material, and if I can, they're costing me an arm and a leg to get it machined out for me. Most of us, especially in the UK, are having to go to workshops and joinery places in order to get them to machine up timber for you, and the prices that they're quoting is, you know, it's understandable because it's taking time out of their day to machine it all and everything like that. I'm not disputing it, but that cost is, it can be quite a lot. So what I've done is I've got in contact with Surrey Timbers. We did a video for them a couple of years ago, and Brad, who runs the place, is doing a fine job at doing so. And I pitched the idea of him making some pre-machined project packs that can be sent out to people in the UK and Europe and maybe even further. I can't guarantee that one, but pre-machined packs in a variety of material that you can order straight to your door, and you will have all the material ready to start making these projects. We've got the box priced up and it's come out very, very reasonable. And also he's currently in the process of pricing up this cabinet as well. And I won't be releasing this cabinet project until everything is listed on their website. It's going to be so helpful for you guys because now you don't need all these machines to get involved with these projects. You know, most of the methods I'm teaching in these are done by hand anyway. So now you could do a lot of these projects just on your workbench. Not only that, we're supporting a small business such as Surrey Timbers by hopefully getting some extra traffic and sales to the website, and also they've agreed to give me a little 10% commission as well. The ins and outs of that are all listed on my affiliate disclaimer in the description as well. There's going to be a lot of links in that description, but go and have a look at that. Project packs for the free online woodworking school will be listed on the Surrey Timbers online store. Exciting times are ahead, exciting times. So that's pretty much everything to update you on for February 2020. The second project in the free online school will be starting soon, and material for both this and the box project will be available from Surrey Timbers. The knives are currently in their second prototype batch, and we'll hopefully find out the result of that in the next few weeks. And if you want to read any blog posts about how I afforded my tools and qualifications and all those other behind the scenes things, then be sure to pop across to my website, and in doing so, don't forget to join the OSB army. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like the video, don't forget to press the like button below and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.